Okay, we're on the air. Hey, everybody, thanks for joining on this sunny October Sunday. Today we have incredible writer, guest. I'm sure everybody already read her book, and anybody who follows the hashtag is somewhat familiar with her. Hopefully, you become more familiar with her. And also, co-joining, co-hosting, and co-wrecking is the twins, Libby and Guinevere. I'll let them introduce themselves. Hey, welcome, ladies.
Hey, this is Libertad from at Those Twinjas. My sister and I, Guinevere, blog at Twinja Book Reviews, where we highlight, celebrate, and pretty much promote diverse books. And yeah, that's who we are. So thanks
All right,
for
thanks.
having
This is
us
gonna
on.
be Right, this is going to be a fun discussion. Anybody who follows the twins know they is just wild and
Yes,
passionate
we.
about diversity in literature. So I always like having them on. I always like talking to them. They always leave me in a good mood, and they make me feisty.
Yes.
So we gonna try to keep it PG-13 though, right? Because this is a YA author.
Yeah. Let me tone it down and get R&B for y'all.
All right. So and last but definitely not least, the guest of honor, Constance. Thank you for coming, Constance. Congratulations on winning last month's poll. Tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your book.
Okay, so I'm Constance. I write fantasy, speculative fiction, horror, and so yeah. What was the next question? What was the last question?
Well, tell us a little bit about we're here to talk Cole, and spoiler alert, if you haven't read it, too bad, because we're gonna get into it. Uh, so go ahead, tell us about Cole, your motivation for writing it. What did you hope to accomplish, and did you achieve your goals?
So I wrote Cole because after reading Zara, the Ren Seeker by Nettie Korafor, I was like, oh wait, I can write a young adult novel with a young protagonist, young black protagonist going on a mission. Because I had a character in my head. I had a character. His name was Cole. Before I even knew the story, I knew there was a very dark-skinned young man named Cole going on an adventure in the Fae realm. I was like, okay, I can write this book. So I dropped the science fiction story I was writing because it was really complicated, and so I figured I would try to do something a little bit more simple and then go back to the science fiction story. But Cole ended up being a little bit more complicated also. But it's still a great story.
Okay.
So like,
Twins, that's your cue.
so it's like, what attracted you to this particular genre? Like this, like kind of like elves and kind of you know mystic forests and all that. What attracted you to that?
It was a few, but one that has been like really stuck in my head lately is I read these series of books called the Dark Elf Trilogy. It was by R.A. Salvatore, and the main character was a dark elf. I have the book. I have that also. I don't know if you can see it, but he's a black elf, and I was messing around on the forum for this series of books, and they were talking about who will be the actor, if they made a movie about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the nerve to say Wesley Snipes, a black man. And do you know the forum blew up on me? They were like, no way that a black man with such Negroid features can be in his book, in the movie. I was like, I pretty much got bullied out of the forum.
Okay.
And so it really pissed me off. So I'm like, you know what? I am going to write a story, and it will have black elves, and it will have black people in it. And so that is one of the reasons why I chose to have elves and dwarves in the story, so that I could see a black man in this genre, because we are not there. We go see Lord of the Rings, and we see The Hobbit, and we spend our money so much on this genre, but we are not represented at all. So
Sure ain't.
I wrote Cole for that.
Okay. Like, how important was it for you to write Cole as a black man? Like, how important? Like did you always see him as like
Yeah,
this
always.
strong brother? Because I saw like a combination of like Boyega, like Michael B. Jordan, you know, all the hotties,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So it's like, how important was it for you to make Cole a brother?
It was never a question. I have a you guys follow me on Facebook. I have a very dark-skinned son, and I have a thing for dark-skinned African men, and Jamaican men. So it was never a question of having a black man in this role. I kind of Cole was because it was his name was Cole because when he was found, his skin was as dark as coal. I cut that out of the book, so I thought maybe it was kind of racist. But when he was found, his name was Cole because he had skin color like a coal.
Okay.
It was not a question.
So, we talk about whenever we have a book that we're hosting for the book club, diversity seems to come up a lot, and I wanna reiterate something that Shonda Rhimes says. For a lot of our authors who would be considered diverse, it's from our POV, and I'm talking me, Constance, the twins. It's not diverse; it's normalization, because when you interact with people of color on a regular basis, gay people on a regular basis, there's nothing exotic, about that. And so I think diversity is a two-edged sword. It might be able to help you market your book, but also it could put a ceiling on its earning potential, because J.K. Rowling, George R. Martin, they don't have to worry about diversity. They can just sell books, right? But when you're trying to make a name for yourself, whatever, you have to use whatever tag is accessible. And black is a new black, it seems like. And so, but again, it's not, if you have a son that's dark skinned, there's nothing diverse about your character code. That's normalization.
Yeah, I agree. So like,
All right, so I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, you could ask your question. I'm patient.
It's normalization. I think there's two sides to the sword because I'm from Oklahoma and we're maybe 5-10% of the population. And so when I go to work and when I interact outside of my family, I don't see me. I just see a lot of white people. And there's I think there's more Asians and Mexicans in Oklahoma now than there are black people. So being black in Oklahoma may not be as normal for me. I guess and so it is important for me to see myself in books because being black in you always feel like the other here.
Wow.
It's in the background, it's in the back of your mind all the time because there aren't very many black people here.
Yeah,
Wow.
and to me it seems like it's a unfair weight that authors of color have to bear that white authors are free of, right? They're free to write whatever they want to write without having to worry about how their book is going to be identified. Like I was thinking of the Sony hack and the comments that were made about Denzel Washington, where one of the top-selling actors of all time, as far as money making at the box office, but there was a hesitation to put him in a starring role because they say he wouldn't sell well overseas, with evidence showing to the contrary of that. So there's a bias, an unfair bias and threshold that authors of color have to pass, from my perspective, that other authors don't. And I want to commend you for writing a book about a dark-skinned brother with in a community of elves and dwarves and dragons. The dragons was nuts, man. We're gonna get into the dragons. The dragons were nuts. You know, because we do need to see ourselves in books, in magazines, on TV, and we need to see. I don't want us all to be good. I don't want us all to be, the magic Negro. I want
Yeah.
some. I don't know if anybody's familiar with The Wire, but I want some Omar cats. You know
Man,
what
my
I'm saying?
husband loves The Wire. I wish he would. My husband killed me with The Wire. Watch The Wire. Watch The Wire. I'm like, I just don't watch it just to piss him off. That was totally opposite.
you might want to watch that. Your husband's on to
Yeah,
something. You might want to watch that.
You're like, I might have to take your black card back, Constance, because I don't trust no people that don't watch The Wire.
I watched the first season. I watched the first episode of the second season.
I don't think it got good till the third season.
I stopped
Yeah,
after
right?
that.
Great.
If it's
Tell
not
me
good, don't watch it. I'm not gonna watch
No,
it.
it was good the first 2 seasons, but the third season it was like kapow, right?
Yeah,
But we're
stuff
on.
is
So we get off the beaten path. We're here to talk about Cole, huh?
Okay.
So,
We're here to. I'm sorry.
what I wanted to know was about the characters in Cole. Who are the characters in Cole, and what inspired the characters in Cole?
Okay, so we
Because
know
one of them's
about
crazy.
Cole. He was a combination of a few boyfriends and my son. He's naive and he's partially spoiled because he's been sheltered by Chalcedony and so then there was Chalcedony. At first she was like the evil queen. Oh, let's say hi, Anthony. But first, she was an older, evil queen when I first thought of the story. And she had taken Cole just because, she was lonely. And then the Fae have I didn't want to get too much into what Fae normally do in the story, but the Fae have a reputation of stealing human children. I think they call them changelings. And so Cole was initially supposed to be a changeling, and Chalcedony was an evil queen type of person, but then I rewrote it so that they were closer in age, with a little bit of romantic tension, not a lot, but just a little bit. And so that's where Chalcedony started. And then there's Royden, who is kind of almost my favorite, and he's a human living in a different queendom or kingdom. And he is a human lover of Queen Isis. And so Royden and Queen Isis is almost like this mirror relationship of Cole and
It is a
Chalcedony.
relationship of equals almost.
Yeah, if everything would have gone the way that it wanted to go, it basically would have been Royden and Queen Isis, but that is the dream. And of course, Cole and Chalcedony being the antagonist and protagonist can't have that dream. They can't have that perfect life. And so they have a lot more to work through.
So let me ask you this: what's the queen's name?
Queen Chalcedony.
Chalcedony?
This is
Chalcedony this whole time.
Princess Chalcedony, I'm sorry.
Princess Chalcedony. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. I'm going to call her Princess C.
Okay.
I've been saying Chalcedony this whole time.
I know you said you messed me up, right? And I was like, I was going to copy what you said, but then I was like, well, let me see what the author says since she wrote the book.
Okay.
But let me say
wrote
this.
the book. I said it was Chalcedony. But then Google said it's Chalcedony. And so before this interview, I studied Chalcedony, so that I could say it correctly.
I'm not gonna be able to get that. But can I say this? Chalcedony or whatever her name is. That's one of those instances where crazy sneaks up on you. And I was like, okay, I'm like thinking she's just seeming like, a normal, person that has more power than they can handle, is kind of overwhelmed by the situation. But then she keeps doing stuff, and I keep giving her benefit of the doubt, and then she took the kid, and I was like, oh, no, she crazy. I'm through. I'm done. It's a wrap. She needs
I had a
help.
few beta readers that stopped reading it at that point. They were like, no, hell no, I'm not reading this. One person said, okay, I'm going to finish it, but that's just because you're my friend.
Yeah, she took the kid, and she was like, oh, no, it's totally cool. I won't remember. The mother will remember. I blanked her mind. And I'm like, that's like a terrible excuse. You just can't come into the human world and be like, oh, this girl's real cute. Let's keep her like she at Walmart or something.
Yeah, like that's how slavery happened. So Yeah, I would feel some kind of way about that.
Yeah, it was very twisted and it was wrong, but that was
Yeah,
the inciting point of the story. And I think, if you were at the end of the book, that was the whole, how we're all writers, and there's something that happens specifically that will happen in the book that makes you want to write it. It makes you want to explore, oh, that's kind of crazy. I wanted to explore this in the book. And that was one of the things that made me want to write the book is that, okay, if this girl takes this little girl, how's that going to work out? How does that child going to respond? Are they going to eventually return her back home? And so, yeah, that was crazy. I have to admit that was crazy. And that's
yeah.
the
And
point
so
where I
after
guess
that,
got steady.
everything she did after that was viewed through that prism, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And so no matter what good she did after that, I was like, this is the princess that took the kid. I'm sorry. I couldn't, and she did things that I think were borderline commendable or whatever. But after she took the kid, I just could not give her the benefit of the doubt. And Cole, I mean, that cat had his nose wide open. I'm like, dog, wake up. Come on, man. You need to let this
yeah.
go. So, what was your motivation for writing a flawed woman character? Because a lot of times, and again, I read this. Roxane Gay wrote a book, Bad Feminists, and she was like, a lot of times women are afraid to write unlikable or flawed, women characters, and you didn't have a problem with that. So how did you balance that, and what was that process like?
I guess because she had started out as an evil queen, I didn't have a problem going there. Um, that's weird. That's a weird, interesting way to put that. I never thought about, women having hard times writing unlikable or hard characters. And, but as, and now I know so many people in real life that are just really smart, but then really stupid at the same time, very opinionated,
Exactly. Right.
and it was really important for me for her to be both bad and good. And I think that's important for me for all my main characters, for them to not be solely good and solely bad. So I didn't have any problem writing Chalcedony that way, because first she was kind of supposed to be an evil queen to begin with, and then I had to work on making her likable. And, why would Cole, do so much for her if she was evil? So I had to had to work actually to make her more likable, so that it would be believable that Cole could have such strong feelings for her and have such confidence that she would make the right choices.
Yeah, Cole's nose was wide open.
Yeah, like one question I had about Cole, because I mean, usually when I read, you know, men of African descent in books, they're usually hyper masculine, hypersexual. So this was like my first book reading of a black man that was kind of like a beta male, someone who was sensitive and like, kind of like wasn't good at everything. You know what I mean? Because it's like we always have this like idea that brothers is just slaying chicks, like, like like super good at everything, like they can do
Oh
no
my God, I
wrong.
can't believe you said that.
That is so true, though. And I guess that is one of the reasons why it's good to write in a bubble. Because that's right,
You know,
if I had any sense, Cole would have been like slaying chicks and slaying dragons and knowing everything about everything.
I'm gonna
But,
hashtag that, slaying chicks. I'm gonna hashtag that, man.
but it just never occurred to me to make him that way. Because has no power where he is. He's a human who's looked down upon. He's been cradled by Chalcedony. He has no power. And so I couldn't really do that in good conscience.
Okay.
And then it kind of didn't occur to me that until like later. But it is like none of that would be believable. In my opinion, it wouldn't be believable if he was doing all that. If he was an alpha male, it would be a different story.
Okay. Interesting. So
All
like
right, so I'm gonna say this. On Shonda Rhimes, whether it's How to Get Away with Murder or what's the other one with Olivia Pope?
Scandal?
Scandal. So basically, to me, that's like a reversal of the Disney prototype, because basically the women are the strong, alpha characters that go in and save the day, right? They have the power. The universe revolves around them, and they're basically saving these men from situations that the men themselves put themselves in. And so in those two, Scandal and How to Get Away with Murder, the women have all the power, and they're fixing all the issues or whatever. When I was thinking about gender roles and the stereotypical gender roles for your book, I almost thought it was kind of the same role reversal, where Cole was like the sensitive, compassionate, worried about others, and Calcedonia, I'm gonna murder that. I'm sorry. And Prince C was basically the one that was obsessed with power and how making sure that people perceive her as powerful. So was that reversal of stereotypical gender roles intentional, or is that just how the story came out?
That's just how the story came out. But we can always change stories. But I wanted to keep it that way because it's different. It's different. We want to read different stories. Sometimes people get pissed off. They want to read the same thing over and over again. But for us that want diverse books, we want to read diverse stories, not just with diverse characters, but diverse stories. And so having a male protagonist who pretty much knew jack about anything, I felt like it should have stayed that way, just for people to read something other than, the dude being the bad guy and the girl being the good guy, having to overcome. I think we needed that diverse, that flip.
Right, and I was kind of slow like Cole. It took me a while to catch on that the princess might not have been, the best person to be in power. So I was kind of because you read books and you're almost programmed for how stories go. There's a format, there's a prototype, and the flow and ebb of the stories and the story arcs or whatever. And this one was different. It was unique. I couldn't figure it out. I was like, we gonna talk about this because this is just crazy. She didn't follow the format. She's throwing me for a loop. So I kudos for that. That was really interesting. You didn't follow the typical hero journey or the typical format, and you also did like a role reversal. I'm not gonna say a role reversal, but I'm gonna say you didn't follow the format of stereotypical gender roles, and so you're just charting your course all along the way here, and kudos. Well done.
Thank you. That's because I had no idea what I was doing. I don't know. This was my first complete finished book, and I will admit I did not know how to write a story. I knew I had a character. I knew there was a child that would be abducted, and I knew there was the princess, the queen figure. But I had no idea how to get from point A to point B. And not knowing what the hell you're doing, you can you can branch out. I do know I did not want it to be like, oh, I know this is going to happen. I know this is going to happen. I know this is going to happen. When I came to a point where this usually happens in stories, I tried to stop and ask myself, how can I do this different? how can I mess with the reader's expectations? And that some of the betas got mad about that. Like, oh, why isn't this a romance story? It was like a romance up to here. Why will you not just make it a romance story? And oh no, why is this happening? It's just like, I want to play with the reader's expectations.
You didn't follow a format.
No.
You didn't follow a format.
You shouldn't. I don't think as a writer you should. If some stories you do have to go from point A to point B to get there. But if you can go off that road and still end up where you would like the story to go, you should do that.
No, I agree. I think it makes for a better read because it keeps the reader guessing. Because I had no idea what's coming next. I had no idea. I just know that, I oscillated between feeling sorry for Cole and thinking he was an idiot.
So, like, you mentioned that you had no idea what you were doing. So which came first for you, the characters or the story?
The characters. I know that the kid would get stolen. I knew there was Cole. I wanted a character with the skin and the color of Cole. I knew there would be like a queen, a bad queen or a princess. But the story after that, I had no idea. Like, Haleen was totally, I had no idea that she was going to show up, because Elizabeth was going to be like blonde and blue eye type of thing. Someone to play with, the whole black dude choosing this white chick, this little blonde girl over, this dark skin. Well, Cal said and he was supposed to be like dark skin. But Haleen came like, no, I'm blonde, I'm blue eyed, I'm feisty. And then I couldn't have two blonde, blue-eyed girls in the book, so then I changed Elizabeth. But the story came second.
So what was Elizabeth? Because that was something that I wondered. Like, because I saw her as white. Like, I defaulted her as white because I didn't really know what she was. She seemed like a little white girl, and her mom just seemed like a ditz. So I was like, she got to be white.
She is Japanese. She's half Japanese.
Really?
Yeah.
So her mom was the Japanese one?
Japanese American though, so that.
Okay, so her mom was the Japanese American one.
Yes.
And she was just a ditz like that. Wow, like I was like, she just let the see my mom would like.
She was glamored. She was glamored to give up.
But sometimes minorities, we be knowing all that stuff, all that like magic realism, like we be not knowing how to combat it. So it's like, I'm all like, this woman gotta be white.
Like, when someone put a root on you?
Yeah, like, when someone put a root on you, you just know how to, like, protect yourself from that type of stuff. So I was like, they gotta be
like, y'all need to quit playing. Y'all need to quit playing. Somebody about to get hit with a skillet.
She did not know how to protect herself against that stuff.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so, like, I think, like, the thing that attracted me to this story is my sister and I, we are Afro-Cubana, and so we grew up kind of, like, with myths and, like, fables and stories being told to us as a kid, some things, like, that's, like, really, like, dominant in Cuban culture. So, like, what were some of your favorite fables that helped inspire Cole?
Fables.
Were there any that helped inspire Cole?
I think because we are not represented much in fables, I can't say that I was invested in those at all. So
you didn't grow up like with like a Nancy, like because we grew up with like a Nancy and like.
What's a Nancy?
Girl, you don't know what a Nazi is?
Nazi, like N-A-Z-I?
That's enough to couple octaves.
A Nazi.
I don't know either. I'm glad you asked.
Girl! A Nazi is like a...
Oh, the snake god?
No, the spider. The spider.
Okay.
Oh, I read about that in that's Egyptian lore, right? Is that Egyptian lore?
That's like that's it's Western African.
But it's also in a lot of Afro-Caribbean.
Yeah, it's like in a lot of Afro-Caribbean. Like it migrated to Afro-Caribbean culture because obviously we migrated. So like we heard a lot of stories like that growing up, like with a Nazi and just stuff like that. And
you know what? I had never heard about that until Neil Gaiman's American Gods, which I don't even like.
It's a white man gonna introduce
I know, right? I know, right? And so
You know, there's a author that the twins know. His name escapes me, but he wrote a very good book on that. You guys interviewed him. What's his name? The Painted Veil or Beyond the Veil? What's
Um, Homeboy.
Who's homeboy?
Homeboy.
Who's homeboy?
Brett Sweet. Brett
Oh, Brett Alexander Sweet. Brett
yeah,
Alexander
brother
Sweet.
is sharp,
Yeah.
sharp cat.
Yes. Yes. He wrote a book about with a lot of like some West African lore. So that was pretty dope. Just to give him a shout out, Brett Alexander Sweet.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yes, look that up. Cop that.
Okay, the most fables I would say that my family was into would be like the stories like the Young and Restless.
Girl, the Young and the Restless.
I did not have a childhood where we were like into stuff like that. I think my son would probably be like, oh wait. Maybe if you say Bloody Mary in the mirror 3 times, something like that. That's the closest that I got to having fables in my family. It wasn't until I got older and read about, you know, like the Aristotle story, like I said, the Dark Elf trilogy, that actually made an impact. But fables, that was The Little Mermaid, all that Disney stuff. I did not feel invested in any of that. No.
Okay. Damn. So, okay, in your books, you tend to make Oklahoma your primary setting. Maybe not so much in Cole, but in the prequel to Cole, Black Beauty, it's the primary setting. And my sister and I are from the East Coast, you know, so we're the superior part of the world. You know, we the only thing we know about Oklahoma is Hanson and Mba. So, what are your thoughts on that? Like, why Oklahoma?
Okay, indies out there, we do this, and the chances of us making any money, making the money back, especially if we have to pay for an editor because I suck at editing. We know we're not gonna make any money, so I have to find some other way that would inspire me to do this because it's a big time investment. And so I really had to think, what do I want to do? What do I want to accomplish with these books? And I have an agenda. I think there was something lately said, oh, books shouldn't have an agenda. I had to really think about my agenda. What is my agenda? And it's like, I want to write books that my mom and my sisters and my brothers and my nieces and my nephews would read and enjoy. And the best way to do that was to make sure that they are represented in those books. And we're from Oklahoma. And so I wanted to, that's why, Black Beauty was totally this weird autobiography for me. So I made them in Oklahoma in apartment complexes like we were raised in for the first 14, 15 years of my life. So that's why Oklahoma is such a big character in my books, because I want to make sure that, because we're not a big chunk of society here in Oklahoma. So I wanted to make sure that the people that I was raised with and went to school with were represented in books.
Awesome. So, like, in Black Beauty, which is the prequel to Cole, like, you explore, like, beauty standards in our community. What inspired that? And you said it was kind of like an autobiography, like, kind of like linked to your experiences. Let's talk more about that.
I was, and for the most part, I still am a very quiet person. I don't observe everything, but every now and then, something will happen. I'll be like, and I'll ponder it in my mind and not talk, because that's how I am. And so, we're raised and we see what we are taught on. We try not to internalize it, but we can't. We see what's on TV and we see what's out in the world, like what we find is beautiful. And then I have a 17-year-old daughter, and she she's light-skinned and she's skinny. I was like, oh, you know, she should be so confident and so happy. And that is not the case. It's not the case. I thought it was better on the other side, but it's not. Beauty issues are very hard to define and explore, no matter if you're yellow and skinny or yellow and fat and dark and skinny and dark and fat. You have straight hair, you have natural hair. It is a very, very difficult thing to define. And so, you know, this Black Beauty was some type of self-help book for her, even though she probably won't ever read it because she doesn't like books. But it was for her.
Let me, beauty is complicated, especially for young girls of color, because you see so many mixed things, and then you see, and I'm gonna go off on a tangent here, but I'll bring it back. And you see people like the Kardashians who get credit for bringing, you know, shape and hips or making that beautiful, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Right though.
You know, I was like, sis has been doing that, you know, from like day one.
Right though.
So,
I'm doing that right now.
On Blurred Book Club. So.
It's like, thank God for Black Twitter.
Beauty is complicated, especially I have a house full of daughters, teenage daughters, and they could look at the mirror one day, and I could tell by their struggle when they leave the house that it's just, you know, it's on. Nobody ever getting in their way, and they could look the exact same way the next day, and then leave the house, and you know that they're just not feeling it. And that mirror has so much power when you're trying to find out who you are, where you fit in, and unless you have somebody help you along that journey, unless you have like parents that have been through that or can identify with that, or that can help you through some of those issues, whether it's straight hair, natural hair, you know, big hips, no hips, or whatever, it's a struggle, and I see it every day because you know, I deal with it. I mean, not from you know, their perspective, but just as a father trying to, you know, say, well, you know, you're all beautiful to me, but that doesn't make them feel any better.
No, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Let me go back to what you said about books not having an agenda. I'm gonna go ahead and politely disagree with that. I like to think of myself as an activist, and to me, writing books is a way to write passionately about things that I think are important. And you know, the twins, and you read my book, and one of the things I touch on is you know, natural hair and accepting you for who you are, and once you could do that, you could you know, accomplish anything. And I don't know if you guys watch Being Mary Jane on BET.
Of course. Be there or be square.
That's, if you don't watch that, you need to check that out, because what Marie Block-Akil does with that show is brilliant.
Really?
She's subversive because she tackles so many topical issues, just that show, that you don't even realize it until the show is over. Whether it's gay acceptance, whether it's single mothers, whether it's, you know, teenage sex, she does it so intelligently and so low key, you don't even realize what she's doing until the show is over. You be like, oh my God. And so she's a writer, she has an agenda, but she's so subtle with it, you don't know until after it's over, if you ever catch on. And so I'm not putting my level by any stretch of imagination with her, but I have some things I want to say about women, about Black beauty, about natural hair, about accepting who you are. And in writing novels is my way to do that, to get people to hear me.
Mm-hmm. I said that because of, I guess, the controversy about the Black gay boy book, and a white author that said that she think that diversity is going too far and that could be read in a pamphlet. She said we shouldn't put agendas in books. I forget her name, but
her name is, well, I don't even want to. I don't want to talk about her, but some author, like, she's actually a friend of one of my, like, the woman who she wrote it to I met last year and we're good friends.
Mm-hmm.
So, her Meg something. The librarian that she wrote it to was Edie Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
And she wrote on a blog, Edie had, was sharing it on Facebook. And, she was saying how this book, it was self-published and it was so great because it's like, we need windows and mirrors. And the author just had to insert herself into the conversation about how, everything has to be so PC now. We don't need a book about young black gay boys, basically. Yeah, roll your eyes, right? And it just kind of became this big thing after that because her privilege showed, tenfold. And she just kept coming back to the thread trying to argue, but she just didn't get it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
She just didn't get anything. She didn't get what she saw as wrong. She basically said that we don't need a book about every single thing because that's not what books are for. They're not there to teach, but
they
only say that about our books.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let that book be about the default character. The books are for learning, for teaching stuff. But our books always have to have an agenda. You know what I mean?
Well, if everybody looks like you, then yeah, I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
Let me also add that Matt Damon, who's a liberal activist, white progressive, caused the dust up a few months back. It wasn't even a few months back; it was like a month ago. But what he said about Iffy Brown about you don't need diversity behind the camera, diversity is in the camera. And as a Matt Damon fan, and I've been a fan for a long time, and I still am a fan, but that was a clueless statement. It was totally clueless, and it kind of encapsulates the position of power that white people speak from. I mean, I'm not trying to be inflammatory or whatever. I mean, there's like an old axiom, you don't know me unless you walk a mile in my shoes. And they haven't done that. And so to make the statements that the writer made, to make the statements that Matt Damon made, no matter how well-intentioned, are totally off mark. And I think comes from a basis of ignorance of not understanding the subject matter that you're trying to talk about.
Exactly. He did not know what he was talking about. And that is why we don't have enough women directors, black writers, black directors, because it's like, oh, okay, we'll put them in front of the screen, and they don't know that there are no black people behind the screen. There are no black writers. Let's have the white writers, and then they can make the black characters, and then everything is good because, hey, that's diversity. They're in the book.
Yeah, but we don't have
I'm
power.
going to tell you about diversity.
Like, we need to be behind the scenes to have power, but if we're just on the screens, there's no power there. Like, not enough.
I'm going to tell you why having black people behind the camera is so important. Two of my favorite all-time movies. Love and Basketball with Sanaa Lathan and Omar Epps was written, directed, by Gina Bythewood. I have never seen a movie where a woman's goal, ambitions, and dreams had nothing to do with capturing a man. You know what I'm saying? A woman of color, let me say. There was real conversations in that movie with women, whether it was in the locker room or dinner, about achieving their goals, their dreams, and it had nothing to do with putting a ring on it. And I don't think anybody else could have brought that vision to fruition other than Gina Bythewood, a woman of color who had played sports. Let me say this about Selma. The civil rights movement has been covered ad nauseum, whether it's burning in Mississippi or Mississippi burning, or it's usually from the white perspective, with the Tarzan trope, white guys come down to save the day. Never has the civil rights movement been covered from the ground, from the ground troops, from the POV of the people there at the front lines. And how that is controversial, I still don't know. That's probably one of the best civil rights, if not the best civil rights movie I've ever seen, right? And it took a woman of color behind the camera to bring that story to fruition. And so that's why Matt Damon was so off base when he says you don't do diversity behind the camera. And it still gets me worked up because I like Matt Damon. I think he means well, but he was off. He was wrong.
Yeah. Yes, he was. Like, he lost me as a fan that day.
I still want to go see The Martian. I was like,
Well,
I was
girl,
like, please
I ain't gonna
nobody
see
call
that.
for a boycott of The Martian. Nobody called for a boycott. And thank God nobody called for a boycott. I got to see The Martian. And it was really good. Despite Matt Damon.
We're getting double
So,
speak. Is that me?
what?
Getting
I hear
feedback.
I hear feedback, double feedback. Are you guys hearing that?
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
hear it.
Is it me?
Does everybody have in their headphones?
I'm not. I don't have headphones. I'm just talking right into the computer. That Mac life.
Yeah, you're causing the feedback. So we'll work
Oh,
through it. We
word.
only got a few minutes left. Yeah, if you don't have headphones after like 45, 50 minutes, you'll start getting feedback for whatever reason. I don't know. Uh, I should know, but I don't.
Tell me what's going on, man.
Hold,
I can't
hold
hear
on.
it. I can't.
Uh,
Headphones. Okay, hold on.
okay, but let me talk to Constance. So you finished the book, Constance.
Hmm.
Did everything you envisioned? And what were you happy, excited, disappointed by the feedback you got from the audience?
I was
People that read it?
excited because it was my before I published. Okay, so you have the beta readers, and it's not the good stuff that you remember. It's all the bad things that you got, the feedback you got that you remember. And then I read somewhere that people should not publish their first book.
Negative.
Yeah, and so I did not think that anyone would like it. So I was really apprehensive, but I did it anyway because, damn it, I was going to be a published author. And so I was really excited about the feedback, especially when the twins, because before I knew them, I was following their reviews, and oh my gosh, and because I wanted to know about diverse books, and I was like, oh my gosh, I hope they never read one
The
of
twins
my
are crazy. They'll be like, no black woman, point off. No short people, point off. I'm like, what?
And don't get me. I love reading their reviews. I love them. But I just hope they would never read one of my books. And so on Wattpad, when they read my book and they enjoyed it, I was like, what the?
Yeah, that's a sense of relief, right?
Yeah, it's like
the twins is like that verse of Oprah. They can make you or break you.
And it was funny because I was not confident about the book whatsoever. But there's no way I could not be confident with Das Fringes, repping
Right.
oh, Cole, y'all need to read Cole, y'all need to read this. There's no way that I could not be confident about this book when you find readers that are confident, because then you look silly because you wrote the book and you're all like, oh, it's okay, but you can't do that. You have to be confident. You have to stand up for your book.
If you get a good mark from the twins, and you need to get a starter jacket that says that survived Twin Ninjas reviews, because I read the reviews and they were like, he didn't even drive past any gay people. Point off. Nobody in this book had an afro. Point off. So yeah, you need to wreck that for real. You need to wreck that for real, man. That needs to be in your cover page.
Even though they repped it real hard, it only got a 3.75.
No, that was Gwen, though. That was Gwen. That was Gwen. That was Gwen. I gave it a 4 something.
That is good.
I gave it a 4 something, though. I gave it a 4 something. Gwen was the one.
Now.
No, they're hardcore. Hey, so I'm gonna make you feel good, right? So I gave the twins my book to do on their verse books. They gave it back. They was like, yeah, you got too many editing mistakes, bro. We can't do this. And I was like, clean it up, make it better, and then get back to us in a few months. And I was like, word. They was like, word. I was like, okay. So I was like, you guys on the editors. They gave me some editors. They was like, yeah, these people will help you out because you need help. I was like, all right. So I contacted one of the editors they gave me. And at first it was like, I'm sorry, but, it just isn't good enough. And I was like, well, as a first-time writer, this is what you need to hear,
Yeah.
And I was like, can you help a brother out? They was like, yeah, here's a list of editors, like call them like yesterday. I was like, all right. So the editor they gave me, I said work with it today, and she cleaned up some of the stuff they pointed out to me. And because of that feedback, it's a better book, and I'm a better writer. So I tell people all the time, all criticism isn't hate. And if you're mad about somebody criticizing your book, you probably shouldn't write.
Yeah. And I just want to add to that for any of the wannabe writers out there, you will never grow until you show your work to somebody. You will never know. I've grown exponentially as a writer over the past year from editors and reviewers, because you can't see sometimes you're too hard on yourself, but at the same time you can't see your mistakes until you show your work to somebody.
I agree. I mean, art doesn't exist in a vacuum. So art should be interactive. It should be talked about. And you need friends, to tell you the truth. Because if people are like, this is the best thing I've ever read, you need new friends.
Yeah. So, since we on the subject of criticism, like in Cole, elves had the ability to alter their appearances, and this included Princess, is it Chalcedony?
Yes, exactly.
She shifted into a white woman, and that kind of made me feel some kind of way, like especially when she didn't change back. Is she going to be a sister in book 2?
So let me explain why I did that. Let me explain why. So I was single for the most part writing this book. And, we go out and we see the brothers go straight to the white girls. And that would just piss me off so bad. Just so bad. I'm over it. Interracial love, we all, just love. Love is love. But sometimes I would get like a little bit resentment. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to put that in a book. So that's what.
You are an activist. You are an activist.
And so, for one, I wanted to do like Octavia Butler and do some. I totally thought it was so cool when she changed races in Wild Seed, so I wanted to do that. But then I also want, because I know how we get pissed off when people are white sometimes, and so I wanted to have Chalcedony change her race just to explore that just to explore race, I guess, the color. It's because it's not race in Cole. It's more color. And there's nothing but color in Cole. But we still have these feelings over color. And so I wanted to do that. I intentionally wanted to piss you off. And then I wanted to piss Cole off and have, her change his color, because that is one of the things that connected them, was that she changed to make him feel more home. And plus she liked the color. And so when she changed to white, it was just like, Cola's gonna be pissed off. But of course,
I was reading that joint.
Color.
I was like, did she just change into Gwyneth Paltrow?
Yeah, right.
I was like, she started the book as like Angela Davis, and she gonna finish as Gwyneth Paltrow. I was feeling some kind of way about that.
Yeah. That was intentional, because it's just color, but it's still ingrained in us, that we're black and we're proud. But
well, at least we should be.
Yeah. So I wanted to play with that. And I also wanted to play with that whenever Cole chose Elizabeth over Chalcedony, because it's like you have this dark-skinned brother choosing you know, to say this white girl, you know, light-skinned girl over Chalcedony, who even though she changes her color, we still kind of perceive her as being black. And so that was kind of my way of dealing with those issues too. You know, you have this black brother who chooses this white or Asian woman or girl over, you know, the sister, which is Chalcedony. And so that I wanted to play with those feelings of resentment, kind of like that we kind of go through. But it's so fun because it was in fantasy, and unless I'm telling you, you won't know. So don't tell anyone else. It's just between us.
Well, so I thought Cole was going to get it off with the dwarf.
What? What?
The dwarf, the one that beat him up.
You thought he was going to what?
I thought him and the dwarf was going to hook up. Be like boyfriend or girlfriend or slaying dwarves or whatever.
That never occurred to me. She was mean to him. She almost had this date.
She was nicer than a prince. She saved his life. She saved his life from the prince. Huh?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
excuse me.
It can't be a downgrade.
Okay.
What, the dwarf? The dwarf was like the coolest person in the whole book.
Yeah, but she had openly disdain towards Cole.
Oh, she's just playing. She's playing.
Yeah, she was just playing.
Sometimes that's how most relationships start, though. Like disdain.
So did y'all, Libby and Gwen, did you kind of think that too? That's interesting.
Like a part of me was hoping he would have another love interest out of Chalcedony. Because when she started doing wrong, I was like, I don't know whether this girl is good enough for him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I was like,
she's crazy.
You know, so I was like, I don't know, like it hurt. Is it Helene? How do you say it?
Helene.
Helene.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she kind of came off to me as like older sister type. You know, I didn't know whether I got that.
Well, except for the fact he kept staring at her breasts. I mean, you made a point of you know. I'm like, okay, she got some big breastises.
She was using her breasts as weapons.
Yo,
it was It was to play out the male gaze. It was everyone. It was a point to tell the male gaze, because you know men, they see those shiny breasts and they just go like, what?
I was about to say, I'm thinking like light beams and shooting out her boobs or something, like weapons, like that. You kind of like stumped me there.
You never see female dwarves in fantasy, and so I wanted to make sure that there was a strong female dwarf, just like kicking butt.
She was strong. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but she basically saved him. I mean, she was like, to me, she was pivotal to for like 2 or 3 chapters. She was pivotal to everything because didn't she slice off dude's ear?
Yeah, she did. She was crazy.
Wow.
Like one character that stood out to me was Royden. Is it Royden?
Yes.
The human?
Will we see more of him in book 2?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, because it's like, I think I know some kind of twist with Royden, and I won't say it on the air, but it's like I want to know whether that will be explored.
It will be explored.
Now, is that like a stuff pop off type explore, or it's like, you know, you just find out and it's like, you know, you're just like, oh.
I don't want to give away too much of book 2.
Okay.
But towards the end, it'll pop off.
Okay. Now, with Royden, like, is Isis aware of that?
Yes.
Okay. So she been aware.
Yeah. In fact, Isis she seems all weak and everything, but pretty much she rules everything. She rules over Royden. She just lets him think that she just likes to put the appearance that she is weaker than what she is, even though she's really strong. As you can say, as you saw towards
I
the
saw
end,
that she
Queen
grew
Isis
like
is
she grew
very
to 7
powerful.
feet.
What'd you say?
Yeah, she grew to 7 feet. She
Yeah,
grew to 7 feet. So when she's feeling her power, she definitely represents.
she likes to play with those. Like I like to play with people's perceptions, and Queen Isis is definitely one of those characters where she likes to underplay her power. But yeah, Isis is running Royden, but then again, Royden is also pretty smart and intelligent. But then he's crazy too. So
You got to be crazy to be in love. So
You sure do.
we're at our hour. It went by fast. Oh my God. So what we're going to do here is we're going to have the twins wrap up first. Tell us where we can find you, what you're doing next, what next projects you have going on, and after they wrap up, we're going to have Constance wrap up, and then we'll go ahead and close out.
Okay,
So
so
twins, take it away.
this is Libby from those twinjas, and in terms of I'm going to try to make this quick. In terms of where to find us, Twitter's the easiest way to find us. You could follow us at dos_twinjas or Rebellious Cupid. And to find more about what kind of project we're working on in terms of writing, you could follow our website at gltomas.net. That's where it's like, a lot of our updates with the books that we're going to be coming out with this year. That's where you can get all the updates. So, yeah, moving on to Thelonious.
Oh well, thanks guys. Thanks for joining. Thanks for having two of my favorite people on the Twitterverse, Libby and Guinevere. So Constance, before we leave, can you say a few things about your next projects, where to find you at? What can we look forward to hearing from you? When can we look forward to hearing from you again?
okay, my next project. I am currently drafting book 2, which ended up turning into 2 books, so book 2 and book 3. I'm also working on Shamia's story from Black Beauty. If you read Cole and haven't read Black Beauty, you should definitely read Black Beauty. It's a horror fantasy mashup. It's really dark urban fantasy, which is really fun to write. And it's a pretty cool to Cole, but not exactly Cole. Shows up maybe once or twice. So that is out. And then Shamia should be coming soon. And you can find me on Twitter, Constance Burris, and then my website, constanceburris.com. And then on Facebook, Constance Burris. I was able to keep my name through all of this stuff, so I got lucky in that respect. So yeah, to you, Thelonious. Oh, I just want to say thank you to the Blurred Book Club for making me feel so welcome, and to the twins for advocating so hard on diverse books, and then making me also advocate for diverse books, because without you guys, I don't think that it would be as easy to go in as hard, because we learn by example sometimes, I guess. And so you guys have been a great example on how to go hard on books, and you also, Thelonious. For me, getting on social media and just seeing so many people go hard for diverse books, and knowing that is out there has made all the difference in me representing my work and making sure that I'm proud and I'm open about it.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, and we appreciate you having Constance. This was enjoyable. We're looking forward to the next book. Again, thank you for writing. I'm not going to say diversity. I'm going to say normalization, where kids like yours, kids like mine, the kids of color can see themselves represented in books in the fantasy realm. I think that is so important because we dream too. We want to play heroes too, and it's easy to be it if you can see it.
Yes.
Big shout out to the twins. No much love. They are two of my favorite people. I think they crazy, the good crazy. Not the like your medicine cabinet crazy when your uncle come over. The good crazy. So they have been at the forefront of spreading diversity. They was here before the hashtag. They'll be here after the hashtag, and I'm gonna continue to be fans. And that's a wrap. Thanks everybody for joining. Our next book for next month has been picked. The chat is scheduled November 1st, 3 p.m. CST. It's Spook Lights by Eden Royce. I hope you guys could join us, and everybody enjoy the rest of your day. We out.
Bye.